Going live. And we are live in 3. Already live, never mind. Hello, everyone. I looked at the wrong camera. It's that camera. Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
how are
Welcome
you
to the
doing?
show. Imagine me being professional or something. Whatever. Where's my chat? Hold on a sec. Chat, there we go. Hello, everyone. Afternoon. Lurk mode engaged. Lurk away, bad egg. Enjoy having us on in the background, maybe. Unless you're just doing that thing where you're just being polite and adding to the view count, but you've actually muted the stream anyway. Hello, in any case.
Good Lord, I see you're already on a crusade of calling people out.
Hey, hey, hey. I didn't say it was bad. I was just saying I know. I'm looking at the wrong camera again. I'm just saying I understand because I do it all the time. So anyway, let's see. Hello. Anyway, looks like someone has little broadband. No, unless that was from another one. Noel, hello. Demney BS, how's it going? Yeah, it's starting. It sure is. Laszlo, hello, hello. Right. Welcome to the show. Chris Kingan doing the his customary $10 super chat. Thank you very much for the $10. Good day to you, sirs. It's been saying live in 60 seconds for some time. Oh, interesting. I tell you what that might be. It's because I hit start streaming on OBS. Because when you stream on YouTube, you hit start streaming on OBS, and then you actually have to click the go live button in YouTube Studio. And I started streaming in OBS when we were sitting up, and then I was like, actually, I'm going to go and make a tea and go to the bathroom. So, nah, whatever. Anyway, let's see. You know, you're still watching. Well, hello anyway, Bad Egg. I wasn't calling you out. I do love you. Let's see. I haven't played Star Citizen before. I have not. I'm not into that scene of games, to be honest. It's not my cup of tea. So, yeah. Right. Welcome to the show. We need better intros. But yeah, at any rate, I have been faffing around today considerably. But I'm kind of happy because earlier on, Caradog came and paid a visit to the shop and he bought me my Founders Edition. So I'm a very happy chappy today because I've got my Founders Edition 3070 fitted. And then I was very naughty and put in a 5800X that I had in the shop as well. Another one. So I've been spending money on my computer today. So yes, hence the title. But very happy. Thanks for getting the names aligned. Yes, I did do that. The names are now aligned. So yeah.
Absolutely.
You lucky man. Indeed. Big thanks to Caradog, who has been I'd say furiously, but I did diligently is probably the correct word. Diligently buying up graphics cards and uncommon CPUs left, right, and center to get hold of things. So yeah, legitimately, thank you very much, Caradog, because I was not getting hold of stuff, and you have produced all of the hardware that I need lately. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm really, really sad about the FE drop yesterday for the 3090. Just the fact that like I was the other side of the office making tea.
Oh no.
Came back, sat down, saw it, and was just like,
and it's gone.
That's all gone. No
Yep.
point in even looking. Goodbye.
Yeah. Well, what 3090 do you want? Because you were gonna you've got a pallet at the moment, haven't you?
Maybe. I don't
Yeah.
actually recall.
Yeah,
I
you had a
think so.
pallet, and weren't you holding out? Oh no, you were holding out for an EVGA, weren't you?
Ultimately, yes, but I imagine that I'm not going to see one of them this side of the heat
This
death
year.
of the universe.
Yeah. Spud Nugget, thank you very much for the tenner. How you doing, dude? Greatly appreciated. But
It's
yeah,
unfortunate.
I
mean, I'm
suppose.
kind of in the opinion that I'm just like, imagine if EVGA just pulled all of their stock and only sold it through their website. Imagine. Kind of
Yeah.
thing. But then I'm just like, they probably have contractual obligations.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh, audio balance, there we go. I've got to figure out a way to automate that audio balance. I've just remembered just to offset myself to the left slightly. There we go.
To the left, to the left.
Yeah.
Everything you own in a box never left. But yeah.
Yeah, or a Strix. Yeah, the Strix are going to be hen's teeth for a long time as well, I think.
As I was saying today, the fact that the 3070 Strix, like the regular stock updates I'm kind of saying for that are like €1,200. It's like,
Yeah.
oh
And to which I said to you earlier on, it's a case of, because obviously there are some people out there that have got their hearts set on a particular one, and like, don't get me wrong, I really wanted, a gigabyte. What I had a gigabyte 3070, and that wasn't my first choice, but just because of aesthetic, because my home build is a very aesthetic build, and I like my aesthetics. But at the end of the day, it's a case of, at the moment, you kind of got to take what you can get, haven't you? And just like, if there is a particular brand that is going for silly money, you've just got to say, you know what? I'll buy the brand that I don't want. I'll get a pallet or a gigabyte or something like that. And I'll just wait a year, because I'll get the performance. And then next year, you can just, in a year or so, when stuff is a bit more healthy, you can buy the one that you really want, that you had your heart set on, and then just sell what you've got. Because the secondhand market is always going to be thriving. And it's probably cheaper to do that than it is to pay so far over the odds for exotic brands right now.
I
So,
think
yeah.
I think we're probably gonna see a reasonably long tail on it for the secondhand market, I feel. But I have no particular reasoning for that, other than just the case of, I think that lots of people are just gonna be quite wary. Just because obviously everyone's kind of been blaming miners and so on for the problem. So everyone's saying, "Oh, it's because of the miners. Oh, it's because of the miners." Whether it is or not is irrelevant. But
Yeah.
it's a case of, because everyone's been thinking that, everyone's going to look at secondhand cards and go, "Oh, it's a miner's card. I don't want that." It's
Yeah.
like,
And
okay,
that's the thing, is at the moment, there's no evidence to show that mining does any meaningful wear and tear to a card, is there? To my
yeah,
knowledge.
absolutely.
For the people who are saying, oh, the volume's a bit low, I'm just adjusting it now. So bear with me a moment. That
Yeah,
might be a bit
so
too much. There we go. I've just boosted the volume a little bit, so it should be a bit louder now. I've just got to remember to adjust that.
yeah, but yeah, I think it's going to be a case of people are going to be aware of that. And we're either going to see the secondhand market be very stagnant, in that no one buys anything, or we're going to see everything be very, very low value.
Yeah. I think stuff is I think stuff will hold its value, because if it drops too far in value, then people won't sell. I don't think. Like, for
Mm.
example, like the only reason why the last time we saw any kind of crash in the value of cards was when the 3080 first came out, and everyone saw that MSRP and panic sold their 2080 Ti's,
Yeah.
and there were 2080 Ti's being sold for like $500. That wasn't actually the value of the card. That was a panic sale, because everyone immediately thought that we were going to be able to buy top-end graphics cards for $600.
Yeah.
And that's the best. That was what people believed at the time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
And I think,
so, whereas I think at the end of this, if there is a massive excess of graphics cards left over that ends up on the secondhand market, if they drop that low again, I think people will be like, actually, I'm going to hang on to it, because I'd rather have this spare graphics card than its monetary value. Because it's like, say for example, if I've got this phone, if I get a new mobile phone, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to sell this mobile phone. If this mobile phone was only worth, say, £100 second hand, this is a Huawei P20 for the record, so it's an X flagship. If this was only worth £100, I'd be like, I'd rather have a spare X flagship mobile phone than £100 that I will spend in a week on food anyway. So that at that point, I'm going to hold on to it. Whereas if it was of a ridiculously high value, like £500, I'll be like, oh yeah, no, we'll sell that. So
Yeah.
I think the value will stay reasonably high because people will hold on to it. Some people will sell, but enough people will hold on to stuff as spares and go, I'd rather have the object than the money, that it will keep the value up. That's what I think. P20 Pro was flagship, kind of. It was the bigger version.
Yeah.
It was 2 flagships. Shut up, Si.
But I don't know. I feel like we're going to have a bit of a odd secondhand market.
It'll be interesting, if nothing else. I'll give you that. I'm making predictions here, but I'm making predictions rather than speaking out of any kind of authority.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of going to say, I feel like the thing that would be required to make there be that sort of drop in price again is a massive oversupply of GPUs from somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with the way things are going, at some point we're going to hit equilibrium, and that suddenly people are going to, everyone who needs a graphics card will have bought a graphics card, and suddenly there'll be this massive overshoot in supply, which, and suddenly all the graphics cards will be available everywhere. But then on the other hand, you never know how many people are just not bothering to even try and buy a graphics card, who will then suddenly be able to go, oh, I can buy a graphics card. And then suddenly there'll be that second uptick in demand, as all the people who are just like, no, I'm just going to wait this out, are suddenly able to start going, oh, I'll buy a graphics card now. So,
Yeah, exactly. I think we're gonna kind of end up with both in a way, and people kind of after a lag times kind of going, oh yeah, I'll actually buy something. But I think that the number of people who will be doing that will be lower than the actual sort of supply. And also, I feel like in a sense, the lack of supply is generating demand. There are people who want to buy stuff just because it's not available.
Yeah. I think there's lots of people who feel compelled to get hold of something. Like I think that's the reason why lots of people are spending money. Like a lot of people who are buying the super expensive graphics cards that are, just not like. I mean, obviously, I bought a new graphics card out of a semi-necessity. I didn't need a new graphics card. However, I was at the limits of my 1070 for the content that I produce with it. But then there are certainly plenty of people who are not at the limit. They just want one because it's newer and slightly faster. And I think they are looking to get one just because shiny, So yeah, I definitely think there are certainly people who are buying out of a sense of scarcity, which I think is definitely a mistake, because it's like, well, no, you could just hold out and buy it for half the price, maybe in a year. Who knows? So,
absolutely,
yeah, FOMO and stuff like that. But yes, to answer the other question as well, Si, you mentioned a graphics card in the background. While we're on the subject of graphics cards, I'll just quickly show this one off just because it's interesting. Quick bit of show and tell. This is a 2080 Ti that was sent in. Let me adjust camera. I'm kind of looking forward to looking at this one. This actually got sent in unannounced, and just as a quick side note, please don't do that. Please tell me if you're going to send me something for repair. Let's switch to bench cam. Yeah, this is a 2080 Ti with a Kraken X52 attached to it. And this is in because something on it went bang, and it's had a botched repair on it. And the current state of it is, as you can see in the picture, the PCI Express inputs ain't looking too clever. So that is the big oof. So I got to see what I can do with that. Those pads are gone, man. There's nothing to solder to. So yeah, I don't know if this is really. I think it's salvageable, but there might be some very very funny bodges going on to get this thing working.
That's gonna be some serious work.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested though. This is going to be a very interesting repair job. I think I'm looking forward to taking a look at that one, which is why I didn't sort of stick it back in the box and send it back to the customer and say you didn't authorize this with me, because I don't officially do graphics cards repair. I'm dabbling in it, but like I'm not offering it as a service because like, you know, already the client for this has already called up and saying, oh, have you done it yet? And I'm like, you didn't authorize to send this in with me, man. You'll be lucky to get this back in a month if you're lucky, you know. And it's just, yeah, but I'm not going to rant about it. But it's a very interesting job. I'm hoping I can fix it. This will make a fantastic video if I can fix it.
There is significant damage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But also at the same time, like I mentioned this to you earlier on when you came in and you were like, oh, what's that you got there? You know, if I think despite how bad it looks, I feel like there's half a chance of fixing that one because it's just power. You know, like silicon issues, you know, if you've got silicon problems, you're done, you're stuck. But power issues like that, well, all I've got to do is run some big ass wires from PCI Express to vCore if I have to. You know, so even if it has some big, huge mod wires from PCI Express into vCore,
yeah,
if you get power to where it's needed, it'll do. So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, it's gonna be quite a lot of work and a lot of weird creativity.
Exactly that. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be cool if we get a fix out of that. I'm probably going to start on it during the week. Because thankfully the queue in the shop is actually under control at the moment, so I'm starting to get to other random jobs that haven't been done. So yes.
You have an odd bod.
Yeah. Even if I don't fix it, I should still post the video on what I tried. Yeah, I almost certainly will do that. The problem with posting partial videos is you post a video and then someone would be like, oh, you should have done this with it. And I'll be like, it's already gone out the shop now and you're right. However, you're right. I should demonstrate it anyway. I don't know. There's always a pressure to actually, only do jobs that I think I can actually achieve now, but which I know is a silly thing to say. But at the same time, it's there of being like, I don't want to do a video on a job unless it's something that I've actually succeeded on. But yeah, it's okay to learn though. I've got to remember that is the thing, and it's what I say to it's like when there's criticism on a job which I did succeed, but perhaps I missed something on or didn't do it quite as good as it could have been done. You know, in many of the videos, I never claimed to be the best. So yeah.
But then, yes, lots of options to learn to develop one's skills.
Indeed.
I think it's a case that a lot of the time people need to provide that in a useful fashion.
Yes. Yes, indeed. I
mean, in a way that people want to engage with. I mean,
yeah. Like I'm hoping I can also do a development like one of the recent videos I did for BIOS updating with the with that X299 board. You know, that was a good video, and I think we've got a potential an interesting follow-up for that video coming up, because I had a phone call from someone today saying they've got a X570 board. It's an MSI Meg X570 something that is BIOS bricked. Again, power failure during BIOS update, and the board won't power on, so they can't do flashback either. And that one, I'm hoping I'm going to try and get a pin header cable. So I'm going to attempt to flash it over the JTAG connector. So hopefully I can actually do a follow-up video and be like, cool, so I showed you the chip off method. Let's see if we can figure out the JTAG header now. Let's look at that kind of thing. And kind of show how I'm expanding what I'm doing. Because, you know, I've had criticism. I have had people who've been like sort of, oh, you're amateur, you're not pro at this and stuff like that. And I'm like, firstly, speaking to me like that is how you get ignored. And that's not me being an asshole. That's not me being an elitist. It's just I don't pay attention to people who talk to me like that. But secondly, as well, at the same time, though, obviously there is truth in what people say. I look at criticism, and I'm probably, when people are assholes to me, they're not going to get a response. But at the same time, I do look at what they say and go, okay, what are they saying? Let's analyze their argument. Have they got a point? And in this case, he did point out a couple of things that on 2 separate occasions where I've been doing BIOS flashing, where I haven't written the serial number back into the BIOS and things like that. And it's like, yeah, these are things that I've missed. They have not been critical to get the thing working. And I feel like a lot of the time people who are being critical miss the fact that the device that was not working is now working, which is primary objective achieved. But at the same token, there's still much to learn. And so I'm hoping to learn that and go, cool, so I've learned more of this. Now let's show, you've seen the basics. Now let's go to step 2, where we do all of write the serial number back to it and all the rest of it. And apparently MAC addresses. People keep telling me that if you flash BIOSes like this, you lose the MAC address. And I'm like, do you? I'm pretty certain that's baked into the network interface card, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that would seem odd to me for it to be in the BIOS and for it
on
to be
several occasions. There have been people who've been like sort of, oh, you've reset the MAC address on that thing, and I'm like, surely that's baked into the adapter, not the BIOS. I find it really hard to believe that's in the BIOS, but I wouldn't know.
No, absolutely, I have no idea, but obviously that's what I'd expect it to be.
Yeah. On a side note as well, Bad Egg 99, thank you very much for the £5. Rant on indeed.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, surely that how does the motherboard update itself when you do a BIOS update, other than flashing a chip with the file that you've supplied it with?
Yeah, that's the thing. I find it hard to believe that the motherboard is actually doing an update only, where it's selectively updating information in the BIOS, but not writing to certain addresses. Maybe it skips certain addresses, but surely the flash update routine just programs the entire chip. But as I say, I'm speaking out of ignorance here.
Yeah, certainly a case of in flashback. Certainly where in flashback, where it's a case that you basically have sort of a basically dead device.
Yeah. Oh, someone who knows more than me is in chat. Evergreen says the MAC address depends on the architecture. Intel NICs use a separate SPI for the card, so a separate SPI flash chip, a separate BIOS chip effectively. But some Realtek NICs have MAC in the UEFI. Ah, okay. Because the NVRAM region of the UEFI, because there is an NVRAM region of the UEFI that stores the MAC. Interesting. There's a key bit as well, is that some data, to my knowledge, some data is, because you've got the BIOS chip, but there is also somewhere the CMOS as well, because the BIOS settings themselves are not actually saved in the BIOS chip. For example, the time is not saved in the BIOS chip. That's saved elsewhere. So there's other bits. There's subtleties that I'm missing that I don't know. And we're at the edge of my knowledge. So I'm like, I know there are bits that I don't know. I just don't know those bits that I don't know. You know?
And I don't know how you'd get a solid answer on that, because obviously if you ask the motherboard manufacturer, they'd say, why are you asking? Then they'd say, no, we're not telling you.
Yeah. Oh, Evergreen says the BIOS settings are also stored in the NVRAM region of the flash chip. So you saying that the BIOS chip, as we'll call it, the flash chip, has 2 regions, the actual program data and a separate NVRAM section where settings and other things are saved.
Is NV non-volatile.
Well,
as
that's
opposed
just
to
it, because
NVIDIA.
NVRAM is non-volatile, but the problem is then, why does it get reset if you take the BIOS battery out, if it's non-volatile? Like, excuse me for asking questions within questions, but, you know, if you know the answer to this, Evergreen, I'm very curious to know. You know. While we're waiting on that one, Night Black 2, have you ever overclocked a laptop, and is it easy? I've never done any laptop overclocking. You need to have a laptop that specifically supports it, for starters. Did your Clevo have any overclocking on it?
Certainly on the CPU side.
Yeah. Was that being done through Intel Extreme Thing software, though?
Extreme Thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
XTU.
XTU, yeah, yeah. Or was that actually supported within BIOS?
No, the only thing that was exposed was XTU stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You can certainly do some stuff through
nature.
XTU.
And as far as I'm aware, XTU will have a varying degree of access on all motherboards. So, sorry, on all laptops. So all laptops will have something that you can access with XTU, but it might not be anything that's actually particularly useful. It might only be a case of you can lower the power limit in here, or you can lower the maximum clock, but you can still modify that with XTU.
Because that's the problem. In a laptop, your power and thermal limits are two very big enemies that you cannot beat. Because power and thermal are the two ceilings on a laptop that, generally speaking, most laptops are built at the ceiling of their power and thermal limit anyway, which is why mobile stuff is generally slower than the desktop equivalent. Because in a desktop, power and thermal is almost no object. It's just whatever the silicon can handle to an extent.
Yeah.
Whereas in a laptop, yeah, you're already at the red line.
Yeah, in a lot of laptops, you've got maybe 25 watts continuous dissipation, 50 watts continuous dissipation power from the cooling. Whereas, like, you look at most desktops that most people build, they can probably dissipate 200 watts continuous sort of thing. And it's a case of you've got such a different level of cooling available to you. It's a case of obviously going, oh, I'll just put 5 extra watts into the CPU is nothing on the desktop, whereas on the laptop, that's maybe a 10 or 15% increase. So, yeah.
Okay. So, following up on other things, let's see. Mr. Guru reckons CMOS is stored in the North Bridge. Then Evergreen also came back and said Winbond sells a lot of SPI flash chips that have NVRAM region that is used for both storing the flash and NVRAM variables. Some architectures use a separate NVRAM chip. That makes sense as well. So I think that seems to be the answer to the question, is it depends. There are some systems that are storing stuff in an NVRAM region of the BIOS chip. Other people are putting it elsewhere, perhaps in the North Bridge. So yeah, obviously it varies, and that doesn't surprise me in the least, because also it's when doing laptop board diagnostics, I've often seen conflicting information of should the BIOS chip have power in standby, or rather in S5. And that is something I've seen mixed results on as well. There are some laptops where the BIOS chip is always powered up from the CMOS battery at all times. Just in S5, you check it and there's 3 volts there. Whereas there are lots of other laptops where the BIOS chip does not switch on until the laptop does. And then the laptop will power up the chip, read the contents, and then power off again. So yeah, that's what you just read on a BIOS forum. Yeah, so obviously it depends on the system. So like Evergreen says, depends on the architecture there. Seems to be the operative term here. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, fair enough. Let's see. So other stuff we've got in chat. Right. Chalamla. I'm butchering your name, I'm sorry. Chalamla I'm going with that. Have you ever explained why you chose to repair PC parts instead of Apple? Surely you could make more profit that way. I do both. I do whatever comes across my bench is the answer to that. And some days I got Apple and some days I got PC. So yeah, I do whatever comes across my bench basically, and what I feel like I'm able to do. So there's no right or wrong answer to that one. Let's see.
I feel also if you were to specialize even in a specific brand, you'd need to be in an area with a very, very high density of that specific thing. So it's a case of if you were saying you were only doing Mac, you'd have to be in an area where there was a lot of Mac.
Yeah, you'd have to be in a city.
And a city that was very much a Mac using city, if that makes sense. Because if you're I'm going to say, in the Docklands, probably aren't going to be many Mac users.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think most cities have probably got more expensive regions. But then also, I think, to be honest, if you were running a computer shop in the city, you'd probably better off specializing in order to stand out from the crowd. Because obviously, when opening a computer shop and deciding on where you want to open your computer shop, you've got that trade-off of going to a area where there is no computer shop, so there's less competition, or going into the center city where there's more people, but probably already other computer shops as well, where you'll have more competition. And so if you're stuck with competition, then specializing would probably be the way to stand out. Because if you opened a shop and said, we're dedicated Mac specialists, you're probably going to be people's first port of call if they have a Mac, as opposed to being a variety shop where you say, yeah, we do Macs as well, but people are going to be like, well, I'll go to that shop that is Mac specialist. Surely they'll know more.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an interesting thought. There was another one as well. And then also Ramoin, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name as well. I butcher everyone's name, not deliberately, just because I'm bad. The other day while watching a video about NUCs, I came across technology that you'd never heard of, an eGPU. Any thoughts, Graham? I love the idea of eGPUs, so just an external graphics card in a box. I think it's a brilliant idea. The problem is that the enclosures seem to be horrendously expensive, and I don't understand why. I don't know if they've changed recently, but for the longest time, you were looking at about, minimum of £250, probably £300 for the enclosure with no graphics card in it. And that meant that just like as cool as it was, that's unless you're spending, you've got to be spending a minimum of £1,000 on your setup for that to be remotely worthwhile. Otherwise, it's a case of why not build a small form factor PC that you could just fit a graphics card in anyway. So I love the idea of eGPUs, but the enclosures just seem to be horrendously expensive.
Yeah, I imagine that a lot of that is the R&D cost of doing the Thunderbolt interfacing and doing the power supply design to make a 350 watt capable power supply fit in a small box. I'd imagine that's what a lot of the cost is, and then the custom tooling cost, because those power supplies are odd shapes and so on, but high performance. And just kind of, I'd imagine that's what a lot of it is, because it's low volume.
Yeah.
So
I think
as they get older, as more of the cost is borne by more of the products that are sold, because they're out for longer, we'll probably see the price reduce.
Yeah.
As with all things, just because obviously the R&D cost gets shared over more devices that are being sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's specifically the Thunderbolt side of it would be my guess, because one thing I noticed as soon as Thunderbolt 2 came out for Apple stuff, Thunderbolt 2 hubs or docks for the laptops were really heckin' expensive, because Thunderbolt 2 was the start of the magic bullet of one port that you can connect literally anything to.
Yeah.
But the hubs for them, you were looking at, £100 to £200 for one.
Yeah.
And most people were like, oh, USB hubs used to cost like 20 quid for a nice one.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I've just jumped on Amazon and I haven't looked at a broad thing, so maybe there's a cheap Chinese one out there, but like the Razer Core X, let me just switch to desktop view. The Razer Core X, which is an eGPU box, so PCIe desktop graphics card support. You put your graphics card in the box, you connect the box to your laptop via Thunderbolt 3. 300 quid, and that's without a graphics card in it. But holy heck, that's got a 650 watt power supply and 100 watt laptop charging. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's a nice one, but that's £300.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I love it. I love everything about it, but like, man, 300 quid, it's a lot of money for what it does, in my opinion. That's my beef with it. It feels too expensive for what it actually does.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I love the concept.
Yeah, it's kind of a case of because it's something custom and because it's very low scale. So, yeah. It's kind of all of those problems in one.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that possibly if those docks continue under USB 4, we might see a small reduction there as well. Just because USB 4, as far as I'm aware, is licensing free. All the licensing on it is basically free by comparison.
Yeah.
And USB 4 will include a PCIe alt mode, like
Good.
Thunderbolt 3 does.
I'm looking forward to USB 4. I'm big time looking forward to that.
And I really hope we can go back to USB 4, USB 4.1, USB 4.2, as opposed to USB 3, USB 3 Gen 1, 2, USB Gen 2 by 1, USB 3 Gen 2 by 2 by 2. Hurrah, hurrah.
2 by 2 hands of blue.
You know, it's just like, what?
Yeah, I heckin' hate it. Yeah.
I genuinely don't actually know what all of the versions of USB 3 are now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I do this. I do this. How the hell does the average person who barely understands the fact that there's a USB-A port and a USB-C port gonna know the difference? Just do bigger number means more faster. Good Lord. Why is that a difficult concept?
It's complicated, man. But yeah.
How is it complicated? 3.2 bigger number than 3.1.
Well, of course,
it's newer or bigger.
I have thoughts of this, but I'm stuck between going, I want to discuss this further and raise counterpoints, and I have counterpoints, but the other part of me is just like, I was going to say, when you were describing them, I was like, I should probably have learned all of these, but whenever I'm faced with having to look at all of the USB 3 generations and memorize them, my brain starts glazing over. And that's exactly what's happening now. I'm just like, I want to argue about this, but I don't care. So yeah.
It's the fact that it's like, who thought this was a better option?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Carl Smiley, have you ever had to perform services on GPUs? You've got a customer with 45 RTX 3090s that are coming in next week to be torn apart and repasted and padded. That sounds like a wicked job to be doing. Firstly, that's rad. Who the hell has 45 3090s? Is he a miner or something? Or I suppose he might just have a...
why do they need anything done to them?
Yeah, they seem a bit too new to need servicing. But on the other hand, unless they're just like workstation graphics cards that are actually being used in render farms and they're just running a bit hot and stuff like that. Good grief, my eyes are red today. I was just looking at the preview while I had my glasses off to clean. I was like, I look about 50, man. Anyway, just a side note. But,
oh God! Right. Okay. So no, it's not USB 3.
Okay.
Gen 1. It's USB 3.2 Gen 1, which used to be USB 3.0.
Wait, 3.2 Gen 1 is 3.0.
Yes.
Fuck
USB
off.
3.2.
Actually, fuck off.
USB 3.2 Gen 2 is what USB 3.1 was. And USB 3 Gen 2 by 2 is what USB 3.2 was.
Fine. Fine.
Who thought these names were better?
Fine.
What was wrong with 0.0, 0.1, 0.2? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Fine. Aha. He runs a mining farm and they're hitting 120 degrees. Good grief. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that's a problem. Well, yeah. Have fun redoing all of those. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty rad. How much?
Nuts.
Yeah, that's rad. I guess they've just all been baked. But yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do what? That's £300 a month per card, I think.
Maybe. I don't know enough about it.
I think that's roughly what it is on Ethereum right now.
There's money in it. There is good money in it. You know,
Yeah,
it must be like I don't want to say that I endorse mining, but people are making money on it. So who am I to tell them that they're not allowed to make money? You know.
I'm entirely of the opinion that I'm like, oh, I should be doing that.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I should do that.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. RTX 3090s, most of the third-party boards do have severe pad problems. That's interesting. That might be
noticed that a couple of them. Because I was in another Discord server and someone was just like, I just got my 3090 and the performance is garbage. I was just like, interesting. And then they were like, yes, their memory hotspot was saying like 120C.
Well, didn't Night Fusion complain that when he went out and got a 3090 and he was struggling to get any better than than his big overclocked 2080 Ti? I wonder if he was coming a cropper from a similar problem, where it wasn't an issue with the GPU, it was just thermals.
Yeah, I know that my PAL one, gaming edition, ultra something. I don't know what the full title was, but that the memory temperature is like 65, 70C, and I'm just like, I seem to be getting like just under half the temperature, or just over half, should I say, the temperature that other people are complaining about. I'm just like, fair enough.
Yeah.
I actually have a decent one, I guess.
Just gonna say, unless you lucked out, yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. So I'm going to I'm trying to catch up in chat. I've been copying and pasting. So let's see. Firstly, Evergreen said, looks like the Thunderbolt 3 IC is $12 just for the controller without any of the supporting Power Mux chips. So the BOM cost for the MFG is probably $60 just for Thunderbolt 3. So yeah, that's that wouldn't surprise me. Like I'm sure some people have managed to min-max it a bit more because there are cheap Thunderbolt things out there. However, although I suppose it probably depends on whether how much you're dancing around Thunderbolt versus Type C DisplayPort with power delivery, if you see what I mean. Because like, for example, Caradog showed me today he had a portable screen, like a folding screen that was, what is that? Does it say Thunderbolt on the box? Or does it just
USB-C?
USB-C, yeah. See, that's the thing.
Using all of the alt modes of USB.
Yeah, Caradog here, he's got a mobile display, which I think he's going to hold up to the camera now. And this thing is rad. It's a 15-inch mobile display. It's basically a laptop screen. And you can plug it into your phone, you can plug it into your laptop, you can plug it into whatever you want. And it's Type C with display and power delivery. And at face value, you'd be like, well, that's Thunderbolt 3, right? You know, if it does everything that Thunderbolt 3 does, is it Thunderbolt 3? I don't know.
So you've got on one side power only USB ports.
Good luck getting that to focus, but take his word for it. There's a Type-C port there, folks.
And then you've got HDMI, mini HDMI, and USB-C, and a headphone jack on the other side. Oh, I just realized that on the preview, you're cutting off far closer than I thought you were. So yeah, so with that, you can then do power and display over the USB on this side, or power only on that side, and it will run off of either of them, or both. And it will also do video over the HDMI and sound over the HDMI.
Yeah, so like, if that's doing everything that Thunderbolt 3 does, then what, why would people be paying for the Thunderbolt 3 license? Unless just over time they're not, and it's more of a matter of people have just managed to figure out how to get Type-C to do everything Thunderbolt 3 can do anyway, you know. And thus they've managed to make a product without having to pay for the Thunderbolt 3 license, hence managing to make a very affordable product, because that whole screen was like £130. And obviously, if your BOM cost for Thunderbolt 3 is $60, you can't make a product for £130.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, fair enough. Other...
But as far as I'm aware, it's the case that all of that stuff was built into the USB-C standard as a case of this is stuff that USB will support via this connector using the various alt modes and stuff that are out there. I think certainly the reason why you'd use Thunderbolt is because it does because it's Firewire direct.
Yeah.
Because it's a PCI Express direct connection.
Yeah.
And the same as Firewire was direct. That's where I was going with that. That sentence fell apart in my head. Firewire was direct, was DMA, unlike what USB was at the time. So it was faster.
Yeah.
Because obviously the CPUs couldn't keep up.
Yeah, less CPU overheads.
Yeah, whereas obviously nowadays that's irrelevant.
Yeah, because USB 2 was faster than Firewire. However, you had massive CPU overheads that actually made it slower in real life.
Yes, indeed. And I am sad that Firewire didn't really catch on, or you know.
Firewire was really cool in the implementations that I saw of it. Yeah. I liked Firewire back in the day.
Certainly the fact
just no one used it.
Every device had to support daisy chaining, I think.
Yeah.
Or every host device had to support daisy chaining.
Every host device did, I think, but daisy chaining was very common. Although again, it's debatable how useful daisy chaining is. But
it just means that obviously if you've got two slow devices, you're not tying up all of your fast ports. You can have two slow devices connected through each other into one fast port.
Yeah.
As opposed to having one fast port per device. So it's just useful from that perspective. And certainly a case of if Firewire was on everything, it would mean that you could have your mouse into your keyboard into the computer and things like that. So if you had a Firewire mouse and a Firewire keyboard, not that you did, but if you did.
Yeah. Although to an extent you can do all of that over USB anyway. So.
But that requires weird hubbing and starts getting messy from a hub perspective and stuff.
I suppose, yeah.
And each device still appears independently to the to the USB controller, and the USB controller can get overloaded by too many devices through too many hubs, things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas that, as far as I'm aware, physically wasn't possible under Firewire because of the daisy chaining and stuff. So yeah.
I had seen
it's
some
very niche.
Yeah. You could do certainly there was a lot more a lot of industry devices had more capability over Firewire. Like at one point I was working for when I was contracting, I was often doing site call outs to the company I was working for. They often did IT support to media production companies. So people who are doing video editing, 3D graphics production, that kind of thing. So I got to see quite a lot of exotic media stuff. And often in the editing suites, they would have, racks of media interface things where they would put in tapes from cameras that would then get loaded into editing rigs, and that was all. And when they were controlled via Firewire, they could control all of the tape playback and stuff from the PC. Yeah. Whereas the stuff that was controlled over USB, often the host had to do, the device had to do something. So like when they were like, right, import footage, if it was Firewire, they'd click the import button and the computer would automatically tell the camera to rewind the tape and begin importing, and it would be able to import at like double speed and stuff like that. Whereas if it was USB, you'd have the computer would then have to say like, right, now press the play button on the device, and they'd press play and start importing in real time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So whether that was limitations of the device or not, I don't know. But Firewire had some really exotic uses. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was certainly more on the media creation front at the time.
Yeah. That's the only place I really saw Firewire being used in anger.
But it was very much a case that they were the people who really needed the extra bandwidth.
Yeah, definitely.
Because USB 1 and 1.1 were very, very slow.
Yes.
So what were the peak throughputs? Was it 12 megabit?
Yeah, 1.1 was 12 meg, I think.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize like how horrendous that was, because my first MP3 player was USB 1. And like, granted, it was only like 32 megabytes or something like that. But if I actually wanted to load up the full 32 megabytes of that MP3 player, it took about 15, 20 minutes to copy 32 megs of MP3s onto it, and just, at the time, I remember thinking, good grief, this is slow. Is this really as fast as it goes? And I was like, holy crap. But, that's the thing. When USB 1 first came out, it wasn't used for mass storage. It was for connecting devices like mice and keyboards and stuff like that. And then mass storage came along and people were like, we need this to be faster, man. We need this to be way faster. And then obviously we went from USB like 1.1 at 12 megabits per second up to USB 2 at 480 megabits per second, which is 400 times increase. Good grief. So yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think I had anything that was old enough to be USB 1.
Yeah, I think it was only that that MP3 player I had where it mattered. I mean, obviously, I had mice and keyboards and stuff like that were probably USB 1, but who cares,
Yeah, because I mean, USB 2 as a standard was released in April 2000, so it's a case of that was USB 2 released right when I was actually somewhat seriously getting into
40x, yes,
using stuff. So it was a case that all of the stuff, by the time I was actually knowing what things were, would have been USB 2, because it would have been out for 2 or 3 years. So I think the first time I started seriously looking at stuff was, just after XP had launched. So I went straight from DOS 4 to XP.
Wow. That's a hell of a jump. That is a hell of a jump.
I think it was DOS 4 I had on the machine that I didn't know how to install programs on. I didn't know how to do anything on it other than like run like 2 programs someone else had installed.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I was just like, this is computer. Yay. And then I was like XP, and I was just like, oh my God, there's this mouse thing and there's like clicking on stuff.
Yeah. Oh God, sigh. XP used to have the pop-up. This device can run faster on USB 2. Fun fact, that dialogue can still appear on modern computers. It can. It's still in Windows. It's still in Windows.
Oh,
it happens now and then.
Horrific flashbacks. Yeah. I just remember a device where somehow the USB 2 controller would
just not negotiate to.
And it was just stuck on 1.1.
Yeah.
Windows 7 kept going, this performs faster on USB 2. This performs faster on USB 2. And I'm like,
yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, there were some weird horrors of stuff. Lord.
Yeah. Right. So going up, I'm going to go through other chat messages that I've pasted out to try and get up to date.
I think there was a super chat.
There was a
missed.
super chat. It was. I'm going to scroll back to it. There it was. Yeah, Ricky B with the $20. Thank you very much. There was also, hang on a sec. There was also another one from Christopher David earlier on. Christopher David with the $20. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, dude. How are you doing?
Hey,
And
how you doing?
and Ricky B with also $20. Thank you very much. Caradog, I can't keep up with all the changes. I'm 66, so the way for me to learn is to spend my Saturday mornings listening to two guys from the UK talking about tech. We really shouldn't be your authority, but thank you.
I don't know. I've no idea what you're inferring.
Yeah. This is an unordered stream of thoughts. That's all this is, really. I don't want to say...
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's an unordered... We ask questions. We might not know all the answers, but we do know which questions to ask, I think. That's what I like to... That's the way I like to look at it. Let's see. Then, in addition to that, going back to briefly touching on the GPU stuff again, Rez, R-E-Z, also said most people don't realize how hot GDDR6X gets. And yeah, that certainly seems to be the issue. And perhaps the AIBs also underestimated it because a lot of graphics cards, the memory cooling basically consists of about 10 millimeters of thermal pads, so it touches the bottom of the fin stack. That's their idea of cooling.
Yeah.
And yeah, it might be that there was just a bit of culture shock where they just threw GDDR6 onto their cards, stuck on the same cooling that they've always used, and then were like, oh crap, it's burning up. So
Also, ridiculous bandwidth from 6X.
absolutely, it's great, but you know, if the heat is there.
Yeah. It's just interesting that clearly developing a special version of GDDR6 and calling
Grinder
it
6. Continue.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd handle a parity error in that case.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, it's interesting that it was cheaper to develop and spend all the money on R&D making a GDDR6X than it was just to use HBM2.
HBM2 seemed to be one of those technologies which was really great, but more hassle than it was worth.
And it's just weird that that's the case when obviously the bandwidth on it is so much higher.
Yeah.
Because the fact that I think HBM2 hit a terabit per pin or something dumb for throughput.
HBM2 on paper is nuts. What? It's just bonkers.
It's like, oh yes, don't worry, I'm just going to copy an entire hard drive worth of data across. Oh, and I'm done. I blink.
Yep. So yeah, that's GDDR6. Chris Gingham with the $10. You might as well get on par with the other Yanks. Oh no, thank you very much.
Are we starting a bidding war with the Americans? This isn't the Louisiana Purchase.
We need a link for those mugs. You need to talk to Cyan Postal about that. You need to talk to Cyan Postal, and you can get your own. You can get your own meme mug. I'm having nothing to do with it.
It's all right. You can make a tidy profit on them. Sell each mug for £15.
Okay.
Yes.
Some other stuff. Earlier on, Chris Drosos said, "I need some advice." I don't know if you're still there, Chris, but if you are, need some advice. I've got a 1660 Super and a Ryzen 3600. Should I get a 550 watt power supply or a 650 watt power supply? You'll only need a 550 with that setup. However, on the assumption that you're buying a decent brand, like a Corsair or something like that, personally, I would get a 650 watt, because if you buy the 650 watt, it's probably only going to cost you 10 or 20 pounds more tops. And it just means that if you get some big ass graphics card later on down the line, then your power supply will be able to handle it. Because a 650 watt isn't going to have a problem with a big graphics card, even like a 3070 or a 3080. Whereas if you get the 550 watt, you're probably getting into the, oh, that's a bit, it can probably do it, but we're not sure. Whereas if you've got a 650, it's almost certainly going to be able to drive whatever you want it to within reason.
In the UK today, it is a £20 price difference between a Corsair CXM 550 and a TXM Gold 650. So you go from a bronze to a gold as well.
Yeah. So
which is a nice extra.
Absolutely. So yeah, I would 3080 on a 650 bit tight. Yeah, probably, but it'll do it.
3080.
Yeah, a 3080 on a 650. I think you'd be all right as long as it's a good 650. You know.
I would go higher only because for me the extra money on going to a 750 watt is not going to be anything, especially considering you're already spending a lot on a 3080 kind of thing.
Yeah. I've got a data 650 gold for 53. I'd buy something a bit more exotic than that.
Considering a Corsair TXM Gold 750 is £79.
Yeah. I would, if you're buying, if anything, if you're buying
£3 to go from a 650 to a 750. For £3, get the 750.
There we go then, yes. If you're going for a 550 watt power supply for a low to mid end computer, then buy whatever you can find that's gold rated kind of thing. But if you're getting into 650, if you're getting in 650 watts plus, because you might be future proofing for a big graphics card later on down the line, don't mess about and get an EVGA gold or a Corsair gold or better kind of thing. Seasonic Focus, yeah. Seasonic Focus 650 watt, I would trust a 3080 to that. You know, I think you'll be all right.
Not the S12 Plus or whichever one it is from Seasonic.
Oh, they got a lemon.
That one is their cheap one. And it's still fine, but it's not like abusable fine, if that makes sense. It's not in the category of Corsair where I'm like, yes, I'll put 600 watt through a single PCIe cable.
Yeah.
It's sensible. Restrictions apply, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cheapest 850 watt, if you're going all the way up there, you're still looking at like £110.
Yeah. Chris S says Seasonic S12 3s are pretty good. 45 quid for 650 watts. Wouldn't trust a 3080 to it, but it's definitely something you'd slap a 3070 on. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. That's the thing with power supplies and stuff like that. You've got to give a job its value. And a lot of people can be very quick to say sort of, oh, that's trash. But it's like, well, if you're not putting anything exotic on it, then it's fine. So again, again, it is a matter on what you're. Obviously, future-proofing is a very dangerous term to use, but it depends on what you're future-proofing against. If you're never, if it's going to a family computer that's never going to see big loads, then you can put on a cheap power supply. Whereas if it's going to an enthusiast who is buying a 1660 Super today, however, next year wants to put a 3070 or a 3080 in it, you might want to be thinking of getting the decent one straight away.
Yeah. Although I think the perfect example of the fact that, if it's a decent PSU, you can really abuse them, is the fact that you can power a 3070 off of a CX450.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea to, but
you could, as long as you don't mind if that power supply dies in 12 months or something. But
it's just kind of a case of, that there is the difference between doing it by the spec and how much you can abuse that power supply.
And that's the thing, because Verk just said, I wouldn't go below an 850 for a 3080 due to the power spikes. They can spike 600 watts for a second or so. And that's the thing, if you've got a decent high brand power supply, it'll probably tank those spikes quite fine. It'll probably tank 600 watt spikes that go over its rated power allowances. So, and that's the difference is, I would trust a Corsair I would trust a Corsair power supply to tank those big spikes that go over the label wattage. Obviously, it can't sustain them, but it doesn't need to. Whereas a cheap-ass power supply probably won't tank those spikes and will probably go and die, you know. So I think that's what it's going to depend on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like the RM line. I'd call that reasonably high end.
I think I like the RM.
A 650 watt isn't a high-end power supply, but it's easily something the way you go, well, yeah, if you're getting a transient random sort of 500 watt out graphics card, I'm not going to be too concerned on an RM or an RMX.
Yeah. And of course, it's also depending on what CPU is in there as well. You know, assuming like if you're running an AMD CPU, you can be reasonably sure that the CPU is not running away with half of your power budget either. Whereas if you're running Intel, then you've also got to consider that on top of your graphics card, your CPU might suddenly run off with a 300 watt thermal velocity boost run away. You know, and suddenly for 60 seconds, your CPU is pulling 300 watts out of the power supply as well.
Yeah.
Which is obviously going to change the picture as well. So that's the thing. You've got to look at the whole thing. We are generalizing in this conversation.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
and
I do like the RM series though. I've got an RM650X in my PC. And I generally recommend the RM or RMX series in general. They seem to be very good value for money. And it feels to me like you can't go wrong with them.
Have I got an RM 850? I can't remember. I've got one of the slightly higher end model Corsair ones, and it also just looks nice. There's something about the
premium
design
feeling product, isn't it?
It's very premium looking, and it's got nice smooth curves on it, and a nice, sort of continuous design through the fan and onto the case and things like that. It's very extra and expensive kind of thing, but also it kind of feels like the money is well spent on it.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got the Kia Golds that are, as far as I can tell, identical internals in a cheaper case for like £10 or £15 less, but they feel cheap, super cheap by comparison. And it's incredible how much you're just kind of like.
I think Corsair, I've got it down to a fine art. It feels like with Corsair, it feels like more than just they've paid a power supply company to make their power supplies for them. It feels like they've actually worked with that company to say, we want to design this with you from the ground up. And that's why, like with an RMX, when you look through the fan grille, it's got like a Corsair logo on there's a Corsair sticker on some of the components on the inside, and it's a black PCB, and any of the components that can be purchased in black are in black and stuff like that. And I know this is just aesthetics and probably are nothing to do with performance, but
it's also a level of care and attention.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, a lot of the what I refer to as the Chinese rebrands, where it's just a Western company has gone to Shenzhen and gone to a company that makes power supplies and said, we want power supplies, and the company says, cool, we sell these power supplies and we will put your logo on them. And it's like, cool, I am now selling power supplies. But it's not, we had nothing to do with the design or anything like that. It's not necessarily a bad product, but it's not the same level as what Corsair have done.
Yeah, and also Corsair actually hired people who know what they're doing to actually specifically get involved in stuff.
Is Seasonic the OEM? Is that
they
confirmed?
are for some of them. Seasonic do OEM for a couple of them. I think it's the AX 1500 watt one.
Yeah, that's so for the top end. Yeah, so
and the AXI 1500 I think is HSP.
Do you mean FSP?
FSP, sorry. Yeah. And then China Wall does one of them. So they use all three of the brands, really top sort of OEM brand stuff. So it's like,
AX is Flextronics apparently.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah. I know there was one of those ones there. Seasonic's definitely OEM'd for.
Yeah.
Because, an Antec were going on about it.
Flextronics rings a bell anyway. I don't know them specifically, but that name rings a bell. It's one of those, again, it's one of those brands where you've seen them on decent power supplies. So they're clearly people who know how to make a power supply. I'm Trash says the TX doesn't do fan stop on lower loads. That's my beef with the TX series. They're good value for money, but the TX is not your friend if you want a silent setup. TX power supply.
I can't hear it over the sound of my AIO. It's fine.
Yeah.
I can't hear it over the sound of my 6,000 RPMs GPU fans.
Palette 3090 go brrr. Yeah.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
I will demonstrate later.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you are the 5700 XT blower.
Yeah.
That, but whinier, and 2 of them.
Oh no. It's a good thing you don't care about noise, isn't it?
However, it runs under heavy load at 30% fan speed.
Chris says, I can't hear my TXM over the sound of my own ego.
I don't know if that was referring to me or was a self-burn.
No, I don't know.
Because I kind of feel like both apply. Heck.
Let's see. Mikey, did you use the right angles yet? I was triggered by my struggle. What right angles and which struggle? I've had many of those. Struggles, I mean, not right angles.
I've had many struggles.
Also, Peter Andrews.
Story of my life. Right angles.
Do you want a free T962 infrared IC heater for testing cooking boards? Is that, when you say IC heater, do you mean that's a board heater? If so, yes, please. I'm on the lookout for a board heater. I want to buy one so I can practice and start learning about them. So yes, I'm interested in that. Hit me up on Discord, maybe? Or failing that, if you want to just send it in, just send it in. But yes, I would be very interested in that.
I very much read that as, oh yes, would you like a free T62? I was just like, Russian main battle tank appears? What?
Graham can't hear it over the sound of his 3080 crunching pixels. No, it's a 3070, you common pleb. It's there. Look at my Founders Edition. It's beautiful. It's not the computer I'm using at the moment. It's just turned on next to me at the moment. So yeah, get it right. It's like a board oven. Okay. I mean, if you're giving it away, I'll take it off your hands. I'll say that much.
It's like a board oven. It requires lots of entertainment.
Yeah, a preheater might still be helpful. That might still be very useful. So yeah. Let's see. Have I ever watched Soren at Electronics Repair School? I have still not. I have been subscribed to Soren for a while. However, I have still not gotten around to actually watching any of his content because he's a bit long form, and I know that's rich coming from me because I'm long form at the moment. My current video, my average video length is 30 minutes at the moment, I think. However, just because I make long form content doesn't mean I have time to watch long form content. But I do need to watch some of his videos because obviously he's very, I feel like he's beloved in the community at the very least. You know, I feel like people, like not everyone agrees with him, but he's very well known. So I do need to watch his stuff. I have heard that he can be a bit of a bodger though. And I have mixed opinions about that. Bodging is fine when it works. But sometimes I feel like I've heard that like when it comes to hinge repair stuff, he's very much and hot glue gun goes brrr, and I'm like, that's not a permanent fix, man. That's gonna break. Just replace it, man. You know. Yeah, I don't know. There's probably gonna be bits. There's probably gonna be bits of his work that I agree with, and bits of his work that I don't agree with. But yeah, bodge. When you bodge something, it means half-assing something, you know. Half-ass is not the word. It means when you do something, it's taking a shortcut to achieve the goal in a way that achieves the goal, but is a bit sort of, you know, again, it's kind of like gluing something back together instead of replacing the part that's broken, kind of thing. It's like
kind of just patching something up.
Yeah, patching it up. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Janky, yeah. Bodget
Yeah.
and Scarpa, yeah. But that's the thing also with any repair place, it depends on what warranty you're providing as well. You know, if Soren provides a lifetime warranty on his hot glue gun jobs, then, you know, make of that what you will. Bodging is like soldering a wire into broken traces. Yeah, probably. Need a Yang translation. Let's see. You sent... Oh, Mikey, you sent those, did you? Hold up a sec.
Do you actually know where these ones are?
Yes, and also I also found
the HDMI adapter.
I also found the ones that I wanted. I'll show them both off, just for anyone who's interested. Of course, the day after I posted the video for the Lianli, I found my ribbon cable PCI 3 expansions. I'll hold it up to Caradog as well. Ribbon connector.
USB 3.
Yeah, USB 3 expansion. So you plug that end into the motherboard, immediately goes down into the power supply enclosure, and you can plug that in. That's what I was looking for in the Heckin' Lianli video. I found those. However, apparently it was Mikey who sent them in because no one else knows I have them. Mikey sent me a bunch of these 90-degree connectors as well. And there's certainly... I don't think this would have helped me in the Lianli build. However, I can certainly think of plenty of times where this would be really handy. This would be good. Actually, this would be good on my NZXT, where the USB 3 connector is under the ATX connector, because it means that you can plug that into your... If your motherboard is there, you plug that into the motherboard, and now you've got your USB 3 cable which goes whoop, straight out of sight, instead of having to put a big old loop in it. So big thanks for sending those in, Mikey. I greatly appreciate it. As I say, I wouldn't use that on the Lianli, but I can certainly think of plenty of places to use those. So greatly appreciated.
I also just like the idea of them also reversing the way the USB is. Because obviously it's key if you've got ones that swap it the other way around, so you can avoid kinks and folds and stuff.
Yeah, exactly that. And what's up, Brightech? How's it going? Do they offer the Type-C cable? Oh man, I wish I'd done more research on the optional extras for this case, because yeah, basically most of my grievances with the Lianli, which I keep pointing in that direction, is because the Lianli is behind me over there.
The case over there. Oh,
yeah. Most of my grievances with it were for things that seemed incomplete. And in my experience, whenever a case has optional extras available for it, you can't buy them anywhere. Or the only places you might be able to buy them are like from the manufacturer's website with horrendous shipping costs or shipping that's not available in your country. So, you know, like when I saw what looks like hot swap hard drive bays and a lack of a USB Type-C connector, I was like, oh yeah, I bet that's available on the Lianli website, and it probably cost like £30 for the USB 3 connector and £40 shipping or something like that. That's not an option for me. However, someone pointed out they're all for sale on overclockers, and they're reasonably priced as well. And so I'm kind of sad about that I didn't realize that before I did the review. But I may do a follow-up video to that, because I'm kind of tempted to go on overclockers and just buy all the optional extras. Get the hot swap bays, get the Type-C cable, get the LED strip, and just put all the optional extras, load that bad boy up, and be like, look, I bought all the optional extras for the LAN call too. So yes.
It's what I like about the Corsair web shop thing. It seems to carry
out of stockers. Oh no.
Spares and accessory parts, even for their old stuff. It's like for the Obsidian 750D I've got, as a case that they launched in, I think, 2014? 2015? Something like that. So like 5 or 6 years ago. And they've still got all of the additional bays, front panel blankers, things like that on there. And it's just nice to see them holding them for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my biggest sad faces about my one of my oldest cases I've got is my Cooler Master ATCS 201B. Hands up in the audience who knows what that is. It's one of the old
Okay.
Cooler Master aluminium cases. And the annoying thing about that is just over the years, I've lost most of the blanking plates for it. And so there are certain things where I have to keep a DVD drive in there because I've got a silver front panel for a DVD drive, but I have to keep a DVD drive in there purely because I don't have a blanking panel for it. And likewise, I've lost both of the floppy bay blanking panels, so I have to have just sort of a blank cover across there. And I'm just like, man, I'd love to be able to buy old parts to build that case back up again. So yeah.
It's all right. You can just retrofit an OLED screen in.
That'd be cool, yeah. I do need to do something bonkers with the 201B at some point. So yeah. Yeah, Mike Ladd had a hell of a time with the Be Quiet 500DX. The gap for cabling to the Mobo was too shallow. Is that at the bottom or the side? If it was at the bottom, that seems to be a common mistake on a lot of cases these days. Where
I also think the back panel was quite the stuffing of cables behind the motherboard tray was basically non-existent on that one. So you basically couldn't run cables behind the motherboard up. You had to go
on which one? On the LAN cool? The LAN
No,
sorry.
on the 500DX.
I haven't looked at a Be Quiet 500DX myself.
No, but just
have you seen one or?
I've seen one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a case of I think that's also a minor issue with it as well.
Yeah.
You just kind of can't hide stuff around the back very well because there just isn't much space there.
Yeah. Oh, apparently, Mike Ladd says the side on this one. Yeah, the side can be an issue. That was another thing that I missed with the Lian Li is the cable cover, the vertical cable cover. It was actually removable. I saw rivets and was like, this isn't removable. However, the entire plate that it's riveted to actually comes out and it's offset, so you can remove the entire plate and turn it over so the offset is to the right instead of the left. And that also made me sad that I missed that. But it is what it is. It's frustrating when you see mistakes after the video is published, and it's always annoying. But yeah, it all went in the end. Cool. Right, going back to some other things that were in the chat. A while back, Boris DG said 3080 Ti is coming in a few weeks. Not confirmed. But there's smoke. And where there's smoke, there's fire. But, yeah. Have you heard about this, Caradog?
I have. There was a comment from someone somewhere during the course of this week that apparently the 3060, 3060 Ti, 3070, 3080, and 3090 are being re-released with new in-silicon anti-mining stuff. And it's possible that the anti-mining edition is going to be the 3080 Ti with slightly different VRAM layout as well.
Yeah, because the specs that have been seen is that the 3080 Ti would be just a scooch off of in terms of compute cores, etc., etc. What are they called on NVIDIA again? Not compute cores, not stream processors. The number of processors.
The CUs.
Compute units, yeah. It was just a scooch off of what the 3090 had. It just didn't have the same amount of VRAM as the 3090. CUDA cores, that's the one. Or no, CUDA, Tensor, whatever. The number of things. There are pictures of pallets of these, as Boris just said as well. There's a photo of the MSI pallets to be shipped out of China. So it sounds like it is genuinely a 3080 Ti, and presumably it will also have the mining restriction in place for whatever that's worth. But yeah, and I don't know how I feel about it because I don't know. Like I kind of I watched the Jay's 2 cents video about this yesterday, where Jay basically had a big old rant saying that he reckoned it was tone deaf to release a 3080 Ti in this climate, because essentially you're reserving production, you're reserving production silicon for yet another product that no one is going to be able to buy, kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, because in a way it's a case of, well, the same amount of graphics cards are getting produced no matter what they end up in, if you see what I mean.
Although possibly, I've no idea if this is the case, but it's possible that it might lead to a greater supply of graphics cards. Because NVIDIA may have found a massive memory controller problem on their 3090 cores, which means it loses the ability to address, say 5 bits worth of bandwidth.
That's
chips.
very interesting.
So if they're now binning off those ones, they're able to make all the CUDA cores work, but the memory controllers have a huge hardware design flaw that mean a bunch of them fail. So they could chuck out a whole bunch more.
Effectively, it's a binned 3090 that otherwise would have been literally in the bin.
Yeah. If that is the case.
Yeah.
I have zero evidence for that, but that's usually how stuff works. You start with the Halo product, the 3090, and then you just cut bits off of it to make a 3080, a 3070, a 30.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Ti, and then at the 3060 level, they make a new core.
Yeah,
I think that's often kind of how it goes. Yeah, because doesn't the 3060 Ti go back up to something like a 320-bit bus from being on a 288 or something weird? I can't remember.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's interesting. So I feel like that's something that Jay missed on his rant. I think Jay was assuming that it was essentially just reallocated stock potentially. But if that's the case, that would be a very good justification for it. And that would be super good, because it means that the people who've got money to spend on graphics cards but no graphics cards to buy can just go out and buy a 3080 Ti.
And I hope, and in a sense, I kind of hope that the 3080 Ti MSRP, well, because the MSRP difference also leaves an option for a $999 MSRP card. Because the MSRP of the 3080 is $700, $699, and then the 3090 is $1,500, $1,499.
It would provide a midpoint,
so there is a point in there, or even if you're going to segregate it a little bit more, there is space for a 3080 Ti, and then like a 3080, and then like an RTX 3080 XTX, or something to go in it like to go in it like 1100-ish.
Yeah.
So you stick the 3080 Ti in at what, 849 MSRP, and then you stick the super duper edition version in it like 1100-ish, 1200-ish. So you make that super duper ultra edition less bang for buckness, but it's a far higher profit margin cut. That offers basically nothing, but it's for the people who are like, I want to spend lots of money on a graphics card.
That might be their end game for when there is actually enough stock to do that. I feel like that's what they would be doing if this was 2019 and the product stack was overcrowded with too many goddamn options. We had literally the vanilla, super, and Ti versions of like 3 different cards. So people were just like, what graphics card should I get? And I'm just like, well, what's your budget? And whatever number they come out with, there's literally a graphics card that costs that much,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. Let's see. Apparently they're going to be $999. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be interested to see something that is a slightly smaller core at higher clocks. But then that plays into stuff that isn't games. Because as far as I can tell, games seem to like the slightly wider, slightly slower.
Yeah.
Whereas stuff that isn't games seems to like the slightly narrower, slightly faster.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And it's just a case of, I would like to see slightly narrower, higher clocks. So keeping the same width as a 3080, so 8704 CUDA cores, but actually stabilizing it off for boosts at 2 gigahertz. Because in games, my 3090 crashes with a core clock of 2035. If it's at 2035, it will crash.
What's the stock on? Because I was going to say I haven't spent any time with. I haven't really been paying much attention to the clocks on my. But doesn't the 3070 run at 2 gigahertz?
As far as I can tell, a lot of this stuff, like the official spec boost clock for a 3090 is 1.7. Is 1.7, but mine is at 2. Mine will run at 2 all of the time. And the Founders Edition ones will, as far as I can tell, run at like 1.98.
Oh yeah, no, I must have been looking at some wonky numbers because I briefly started up Heaven on this computer just before we went live, I just wanted to double check that none of the temperatures suddenly went to 100 or something like that. And Heaven was telling me that my core clock was at 2 gigahertz, but I must have been looking at mem clock or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I must have been looking at mem clock.
But no, I would expect the 3070 to be an actual clock of something like 19-ish.
Yeah.
1950. That's where I'd expect it to sit, roughly. And then with a little bit extra power to just nudge into more often 2 with a smidgen.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough.
But it seems like Ampere as an architecture isn't particularly stable over 2 gigahertz on air. Just across any of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's like the 3090s crash at just over 2 gigahertz. My 3060 Ti's will crash at 2.1-ish. So it's kind of a case of, I realize they're completely opposite ends of the stack, but it's just interesting that they have similar-ish issue frequency, and they're obviously both Ampere. Completely different power allocations.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's just to sort of see that. And it's just nice. It's nice they're out of the box. They're running so close to that red line.
That makes sense as well.
Boosts on its own to like 1980.
Yeah. Postal said apparently Heaven makes a lot of cards boost to very high levels as well. So yeah, that might be also relevant. So again, it sounds like it just depends on workload, which is also makes sense as well.
Which is kind of the epitome of boost algorithms.
Yep, true that. Fair enough. Fair enough. Cool. Right, rolling back a bit. Bright Echo 9 hit me with the £10 super chat. Thank you very much, my dude. Have a beer on me, Graham. Keep up the good work. Thanks a lot, my dude. I greatly appreciate it. And speaking of the good work, Noel also said, any interesting repairs this week? Stuff that I've done, I've got a couple of interesting in-progress ones. I've got a Lenovo that has an interesting power problem that I'm quite looking forward to. I'm waiting on parts where I think one of the main power management ICs has died, I believe, and I've got a new one on order. And if I replace that and it works, then that will be a really cool repair for me. Because replacing power management ICs on boards, it's not exactly a super technical repair. You know, everyone's been replacing the intersills on the MacBooks for a long time, but I've never actually successfully done it myself. So it will be a good benchmark, and it's also a really good diagnostic video because the problem the laptop has is that the inrush limiter is not opening up. So you put on power, there's no short circuit, but the inrush limiter is not switching on, so therefore power is not getting past it into the laptop. And if I actually jumper wired past the inrush limiter and the laptop powered on, but the battery would not charge, so obviously incomplete. But traced it back to was it a Broadcom? No, it wasn't a Broadcom. It was something. Power management IC. The power management IC is getting power, but not telling anything to turn on. So hopefully that power management IC is Cactus. And if I replace it, I can then go, look, now we've replaced this. Now the inrush limiter is getting the turn on signal, which means power then flows. And we've explained how that all goes through. So that will be quite interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Other interesting repairs, I got the 2080 Ti that I showed off earlier on. And a couple of other oddball repairs that are also coming up, which are just two random ones. And like these ones came in, I'm just like, yeah, sure, why not? There's one that I've got a drone to fix. I've got a very expensive looking Mavic, which needs a new. Let's take this out so some train spotters can go, oh, that's XYZ, because I don't know what it is. Whoop. Is it a Mavic? Yeah, it's a DJI Mavic Pro. I have a suspicion this thing is probably horrifyingly expensive. So yeah, DJI Mavic Pro. It needs a new camera flex. So we've got the flex ribbon for it. So I've got to take that apart and replace the cable that goes to the camera. Because apparently when you turn it on, the camera is just sort of going and just twitching horribly. So yeah, that looks exciting. And then finally, the other one that I was going to show off as well, which no one will guess what this is a Strix kit. Because why not? Apparently this doesn't work. I was actually kind of thinking of turning this on stream actually, and just being like, if we were getting bored, if we were struggling for content on this stream, I was like, I'll start fixing the Strix thing. So yeah, that's also a thing.
The Mavic has stopped being made, but the Mavic 2 Pro Ultra Uber Edition, you can buy it now for about $470.
$470. Oh, okay, that's not too bad.
$470 and $7,490.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if someone typoed in that buy it now price, or they're just like, here's hoping someone reads that as 470.
Yeah.
I just lost your sound. Oh, yeah. I thought I'd suddenly just gone deaf. Ah, I see. Someone may have forgotten to charge their wireless microphone because it's been in use today. So, yes. We will see what happens in a moment. Are we suddenly going to get headset microphone? And it's going to be like, do I sound like I'm on old time radio? But yes, or something. It's just the fact that I moved my headset at the same time, and I was suddenly just like, oh no, have I just broken everything?
Yeah, headset mic is a much smarter idea. I just need to get it to you now, Caradog.
You are not activating.
Yeah, the call. Hang on a sec. Where the there it is. That. Voice and video.
So we're just turning this into a Scalextric stream.
There we go. Okay, can you hear me now?
And all we need is, me to sit here going, meow.
Can you hear me now?
Meow. Meow.
Can you hear me now?
And that's it. And they're neck and neck going into the first corner.
Caradog, can you hear me?
My best.
Caradog, come back to me.
I've forgotten his name. Impression of.
No, he can't hear me.
Mike Myers. No, not Mike Myers.
This is what happens
Johnny
when Caradog
Walker.
has to solo.
No, not Johnny Walker. What's his name? Anyway. And
Oh,
go.
Murray Walker.
I presume
Someone
you
tell him
fixed
Murray
it for
Walker.
the stream, but
There
you
we go.
haven't fixed it for me. This is why I'm still prattling, because I'm assuming that you've messed everything up.
There we go. You should be able to hear me now.
Yes, I can
Good.
actually hear you now.
Okay, right.
You fixed it.
Yeah, the transmitter, the receiver battery went flat, and I'm just like, oh, I can rig up a bat. I was about to rig up a power bank to charge it because Type C charging, and then you were just like, oh, we're going to do this on the headset mic, and I'm like, idiot, I've got a microphone on the headset. There we go. We'll just switch to this. So yeah. Anyway, um, yes, Murray Walker was the name you were looking
Yes,
for.
yes. It was very much the case where I was like, oh my god, why can I not think of the person's name? I
It's
can
like
hear
Siri
the
and
voice
Alexa
in my
talking
head
to
now.
each other. All right, I'm on this mic now. I bollocks to it. I was going to say I could get the other mic up and stuff, but I may as well just carry on this mic now because it's the podcast, not production. I'm just plugging.
Are you saying that these 200 people aren't worth it?
Well, I'm saying these 200 people probably don't mind me being on a slightly crappier microphone. And go, go, go.
Yeah.
So yeah. Right. Where were we before this entire derailment?
Skeletrix.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah. Yeah, that was a thing. I might just sit and dick around with this. I don't know. I was going to do that. Yeah, basically, I was going to dick around with this if we didn't have much content for the stream. But this has actually been quite a busy stream, so this has been good. So yes, I'm just checking my doc just to see if there are any other. No, I think I've basically gone through everything that I was gonna talk about on there. So yes. Anyway. But yeah, those are interesting repairs that are in the works, and also I don't know if it came out or not, but yeah, I will be trying to do a video on that Lenovo if possible. Hopefully, even if I fail to solve the problem, there'll be enough content that I can post the video up anyway, just to show how far I got with it, maybe. Because certainly there have been lots of people who, like on the last failed repair I did with the Toshiba, lots of people still said appreciated the video anyway. I learned a lot just following your train of thought, even though you didn't actually get a fix out of it, kind of thing. And yeah, I think that might be something helpful that I can do, is just showing people where to start, or like even if I didn't reach the end, maybe the next person can take the same methodology and be able to reach the end.
Absolutely. Or possibly have a slightly different but very similar fault that ends up actually being solvable.
Yeah. So yes. Yeah, also Teltac, bloody hell, the difference in audio quality. Yes. And like that is just for records, just to show people. Oh, I'll hold them up anyway, just because it's always interesting to talk equipment.
I guess we love talking about your equipment.
They're not as good as it's not as good as a condenser microphone. The condenser microphone, when I had it like here in my face, still gave better sound quality. But the Rode Wireless Go set that I've got, this is the receiver. This is the one where the battery has gone flat. It's got a little LCD on it. This is the lapel mic setup I use. So this guy has just this guy's just got a line out that plugs into the microphone port on anything you want. And this is the transmitter, which I have clipped to the front. And that's got a condenser microphone there. And optionally, you can also plug in an external microphone. So if later on down the line, you want even higher quality setup or a more discreet setup, you can clip that onto your belt and actually have a wire going up to another microphone. And then it can turn an ordinary microphone into a wireless microphone. So the Wireless Go was a very attractive option to me, because I wanted to get a wireless lapel setup, but I wasn't ready to drop like £400 or £500 on a professional setup,
Yeah.
And so far, like as I say, it's not quite as good as the condenser, but it gets 90%, it gets like 95% as good, while offering significantly more convenience. Unpeeled section of the show. You know what? See, I was going to leave it as is to protect it, but I don't believe in that. So here we go, everyone.
Hey, I mean, at least you managed to resist the urge on my graphics card.
There we go. There was the peel for you. So the video and sound quality is good enough. Yeah, it does the job. So I'm waiting for the wave of hate. I'm not seeing it. No? Okay. I baited people and they have not responded. Fair enough.
Fine, I still have my peel.
Needs the audio of it. Okay. Put it near the mic for the speaker. Okay, hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. Here we go. How's that? How's that for you? That's unappealing.
I just
Oh
got
no.
kind of.
Mm. Right. Let's see. You're surprised to learn that Rode is an Aussie company. Yes. I was. I didn't know that. However, when I read about it, I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense, I guess. But yes,
I'm certain this is Australian, not Austrian.
I don't know. I guess I didn't know. Is the O with a line through it, is that an actual accented letter? Or is that a style thing?
I don't know, but I know they don't have a SSL certificate for their website.
Really?
Scandalous.
Must be a mistake there. But yeah.
Your connection to your site is not secure. Scandal.
Danielle, I'm Italian. I'm glad you talk slowly in English. Rossman's English is too fast. Yeah. I have often. I don't deliberately do it. I talk slowly just because I'm working, thinking, and speaking at the same time. I probably talk significantly faster on the podcast here. But yeah, I do try and talk. Yeah, it comes out that way, but I have had lots and lots of people who have said you're very easy to understand. And I think that's one of the reasons why my channel seems to get what I feel like is an undeserved amount of appeal. Just simply, you know, like, I think a lot of people like my content just because if you're not a native English speaker, I'm easier to understand. But yeah. O with a line through it is Norwegian, one of the 3 last letters in the Norwegian alphabet. There we go then. Oh, Jorgen, am I pronouncing that right? So it's so perhaps it's a Norwegian who lives in Australia. I don't know.
I was gonna say Rhoda from Sydney. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh well.
Apparently, road means red in Danish. Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Road sounds like someone saying red with a potato in their mouth. Must be Danish.
Oh my god, the /0 is a representation of the number 0 with a slash through it, unlike in the Scandinavian vowel O and the empty set symbol O with a line through it, and the diameter symbol O with a line through it. I hate it, Omicron, thanks.
Wait, you hate his Omicron?
The lack of a heavy accent is helpful too. Well, home county's English is the correct English accent. So yeah. Can I do a vid in Brummie accent, Graham? No, because I think I might get murdered next time I go to Birmingham or something like that. Is Birmingham Brummie? It is, isn't it? I don't know the end with the northern accents.
I'm so confused. The diameter sign, if you search for the diameter sign, the first result on an internet search is the trademark symbol from Wikipedia.
Okay. Don't come near Scotland. Oh no.
I mean, that's just a general, good advice. Don't go near Scotland.
Since this podcast has now gone off the rails, I'm going to start looking at this stupid Strix thing.
How to pronounce Worcestershire?
Oh no! This is what we're doing now. This is it. This is our life. Birmingham is northern. Yes. Fight me.
I mean, we agreed that it's Worcestershire, right?
Worcestershire sauce. If it's above the M4, it's northern, and I think I'm being very generous in saying that the M4 is my boundary.
Also, the Midlands are a lie. They're simply
Yes.
so people can feel good about themselves,
There
pretending
are
not to be
exceptions to the
northern.
rule, though, because, like, you've got stuff like Oxford, which is above the M4, but, we wouldn't call that northern, would we?
That was bizarre. I locked up for a second.
Oh, okay. I was
I was
saying,
very confused.
what
Yeah.
about Oxford? Because that's above the M4, but you wouldn't call that the north.
I mean, it can be in the north without being northern.
Yeah.
Northern is a class thing.
Oh, someone in the chat, please give us another tech topic to talk about, because we're going to start tanking viewers at this rate. What else is going on in the tech universe? Um, we've
but
talked
no,
about the
we,
we've
we,
talked
we
about the
like these
2080.
people. It's fine. We like these people, really. Also, the interesting thing, yeah, sorry, someone mentioning PCIe Gen 4.
Hmm.
Apparently, Alder Lake, which is apparently coming at the end of this year from Intel, is going to have PCIe Gen 5, according to Intel.
Why?
Yes, exactly.
You could argue we don't even need Gen 4. What are they bringing to the table? More bandwidth? Like,
Even more bandwidth,
hmm.
because we need even more bandwidth on the desktop.
Okay.
Do we? I don't know. I'm interested in even higher bandwidth for RAM. That interests me. I'm interested in sort of DDR5 in like 2 years' time because, actually getting decent latency on it again.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, I don't see about that. And like, there must be some other technical reason why they'd want to do that.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone else pointed out Apple's new M1 desktops, new iMac and stuff. That is kind of interesting. What do we think of the new iMac? So I'm going to go first. I love the visual design. I love the return to it being sort of like a dorm computer kind of deal, if you see what I mean.
I th-
I don't mind it being M1 silicon per se, which is probably not as fast as the old one, but I don't mind. But what I don't like is just the price tag. I don't like it being £1,500 for what is essentially mobile.
yeah.
It's not the car.
It's I don't know. It's I think my issue with the base model is that the base model doesn't come with Ethernet.
Oh yeah, that frustrated me as well. Base model is two Thunderbolt ports, no Ethernet. I don't like
Yeah.
that one bit either.
No. I was like, oh, that's a
Yeah.
bit that's a bit I just kind of
Oh,
okay.
there's your problem. Power supply's
But
dead.
it's kind of I like it as a concept kind of thing. I don't like the price. It feels like it's kind of a case of it should be 699.
Yeah, agreed.
It feels like the base model should be like 699 kind of thing,
I don't know. There's
given
power
that
there.
that's how much an iPad is and it's an iPad
Hmm.
kind of thing. So it's that, but I don't know. Also, I feel like the dorm room computer is a concept that I can't understand because I never went to college in America.
Yeah. I mean,
So
don't. I mean,
I don't-
the affordable Mac, I guess. A computer that can be afforded for or by a student is the
What
point.
student has £1,500 to spend on a Mac?
Well, that's the point. I think it's too expensive.
If
Whereas,
it just
like,
feels like kind of a case of it's like spend £1,500 on a Mac or spend $300 on a Chromebook and get the same device.
yeah, like remember that the eMac back in its day was like fucking hell. I don't know what I expected. The eMac back in the day was like £600. That's very affordable. I'm going to short something out on this. There's going to be sparks.
Why? Why? Why you do this?
Power.
Oh boy.
So I suppose that's negative. So it switches through the negative. So if I plug a controller in,
I was gonna say I kind of feel like the new iMac is for the category of person who doesn't pay for their own computers.
yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Like
So
there
yeah.
is call me classist, but there is a subset of a large majority of Mac owners who are essentially either rich people or kids of rich people, who just the number of Mac owners who come in and just the state. I don't know that. It depresses me when you just see the state of some computers that
Yeah.
people bring in that were really heckin' expensive computers, and you're just like, my dude, this is a £1,500 laptop.
Yeah.
What have you done to it? And sometimes it's owned by some sort of. It's either owned by the parent, who I just straight up believe is out of touch with reality, or it is owned by the child who clearly didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
I think the thing that surprises me as well is seeing the state of just computer devices in general that come in for repair, is the fact that I could never be accused of being particularly delicate with my equipment. Yet, as far as I'm aware, I've basically never broken anything through physical damage.
yeah,
So I'm just like, how? How is me, the person who takes no intentional care kind of thing, got to that point
yeah,
where all of my stuff is in much better condition than that? And it's incomprehensible. I'm having a lot of problems with words today, aren't I? But yes, I cannot comprehend. There we go. That's an easy way of saying it. How it gets to that state.
yes.
I don't know.
And
Oh
I think what
god.
bothers me is the fact that I think the bigger issue is that most people don't. Most people they don't see it as a problem. Like I have people who come in with laptops that are filthy, disgusting, filthy,
Yeah.
and you look at them and you look at the laptop out of a sense of like sort of, do you not see the problem here? Does this not look? Does this seem like a problem to you? And they're just like, I don't see, they don't see an issue. And I think the last time I saw it, it was a MacBook that came in and it was filthy, and I said to the customer, I'm like, this is going to break. The dirt will get in and ruin it. And their response was literally sort of, oh, we're in a house full of dogs and stuff like that. I'm like, what are your dogs sleeping on the laptop? That's not an excuse.
Yeah. But it's like I don't know. It's just also the fact of I got to the point where I just didn't bother being nice about it and was just like,
Yeah,
your laptop is disgusting, and my opinion of you is that you are a disgustingly dirty person. And I was just
yeah,
like, I was just like, I don't care if this hurts your hurts your feelings. Your laptop is filthy and is quite possibly a health hazard.
yeah.
I have to clean this before I can even look at it.
Yeah.
It's a health hazard. Why are
I
you living in squalor?
yeah. I feel like we've had this discussion before. I'm not the kindest of people at times, yet even I haven't had the balls to say that to a customer. But at the same time, it's exactly what we're all thinking, you know?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I've given up on not saying it. I'm not, I don't say that, but it is the case of I'm just like, I say to someone, oh, this is filthy. Or just a case of like some of the time I've just been like, oh, your laptop smells dirty. Kind of thing of, oh, does someone in your house smoke, or, something been spilt on this sort of thing. And then when the people are like, no, I'm like, oh, have you considered cleaning it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So just like, I don't understand why you think I should put up with this mess.
Mm. Yeah. I don't see how people don't see it. Odd. It's very
Yeah.
odd. Right. So for anyone playing along with this Scale Strix repair. Oh, there's your problem. Aha. Okay. Right. How was that? That was there, I think. Yeah, there we go. Right. So that. Okay. So that goes there. We've got a coil of wire here forming a resistor, and as you pull the trigger, it travels up the coil of wire, and so the other wire connects at this end. So as it gets closer to this end, the resistance gets lower and more power flows. This is a very old design known as the analog ones. So yeah, it's essentially a big variable resistor. But what's happened is the wire here has come off of here. So I shall strip that and solder it on because I don't have the crimp tools for that. And that'll probably come back to life again. So yeah.
Tweezers? Could you not tweezer it?
Tweezer it? What do you mean?
Stuff the wire into the crimp and then tweezer the crimp.
Oh, I see. Maybe. Maybe. Um, undoing crimps is harder than you think, is the problem. And also I want there to be a decent connection there. So I'm gonna strip and just solder blob it on. I think we'll do. So yeah. Do 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 do. Right. What's going on here? As an avid subscriber who's watched almost every one of your videos, you just lost a subscriber due to your anti-Scottish buddy. Who was being anti-Scottish? I mean, we were making jokes, but yeah, we are making... When we make jokes about the North and stuff like that, we are kidding, guys. We are just joking. Please don't take it to heart. So yeah, if I solder it, it'll break off again. Oh yeah, you're right. That's a good point, actually. You must be a grumpy Scot. Go enjoy this. Yeah, okay. John McD, please don't be a dick. Let's play nice here, guys. Come on. So yeah, like play nice, guys. We're all here to have some jokes and have some fun, but it is entirely possible to be nice. It costs nothing to be nice. So yeah, I fully agree there. Don't be a douche. Right. However, I do agree with the sentiment that if I solder that, it'll break off again. So I'm going to use some things here just to break this open.
I'm just going to use some GBH.
Yes. Where is the thing? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, as I say, if you are joking, then now and then you might need to make it clear. That's the problem with text, is sometimes tone doesn't come across in text and people don't know what's going on. But the other thing as well is that I'm not going to lie, guys, I'm not paying a huge amount of attention as to what's going on here because I'm sitting here trying to fix a heckin' Scalextrix kit instead.
Which is an interesting thing to have in a computer repair shop.
Yeah, absolutely. One crisp solder touch. Well, what I'm thinking now, see, getting that one open is going to be tough work. I could probably do it, but what I might do is, there we go, that's that guy out. Right. Can I get you in there? Yeah, I need to kind of just stuff that in there, I think. If I just trim that, I think I'm going to give that a little bit of solder because I can't recrimp it. However, I will solder it and then I will close the cable on the crimp, and that will stop it from just coming back off. Scale Strix is still a thing. I don't think so. I have no idea if this stuff is worth anything, to be honest. It came in with another system, and the client was just like, "We've also got this, and it doesn't work. Do you think you could take a look at it?" And I'm like, "It's Scale Strix, man. It's it's a resistor in a handle. How complicated can it be?" So yeah,
Apparently, you can. Yeah, still a thing.
it's
Apparently, you've got a lap counter in it now.
Oh, lap counters have been a thing since the dawn of time. It's probably a digital lap counter now. It's probably
Yeah.
an internet thing, Internet of Things, so you can upload
Internet of
your lap
Things.
time to Facebook. But tell me
Oh,
I'm joking, you know.
£130 from
100,
Amazon.
£130 for what? Just for the lap counter?
No, for
No.
the track and
Oh, okay,
stuff.
yeah. £130. Ugh, I don't know what they used to cost, to be honest. Where's
Or
that
there's a
heckin' wire gone?
£65 something.
What on earth was I doing with this soldering iron? There we go.
Huh. Interesting. Not appropriate for children under the age of 5. Okay.
I don't know how old I was when I got my first Scale Tricks kit. I didn't have Scale Tricks. I had. Can anyone in the chat remember there was an alternative? There was a smaller gauge track one. It was called SCS maybe or something like that. Does anyone know what it was called? Because I had that. I was not a Scale Tricks kid. I had the alternative one. Right, that's going to go on like that. So I need to bring that in like that. I will crimp that. I will press that in with some pliers before I do the thing. This is very awkward, by the way, everyone. This is, yeah, well, whatever. TCR? Ah, that doesn't ring a bell. Was it TCR? TCS? I thought it was SC something. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering. I think the old kit I had was called Aurora or something like that. I had a Nigel Mansell car and an Ayrton Senna car back when they were battling it out with the Marlboro sponsors on it and everything.
Oh, there was in 2004, Electric Sport Digital was introduced, which allows up to 4 digital cards to be released on a single slot. Woohoo! Good lord, because we need digital Skeletrix.
Yeah, it was good on the big sets because yeah, lane changing and stuff. Like in the big slot car setups, that would have been amazing.
But you'd have had to have
That'll
had
do.
like a set that was, the size of a small house.
Yeah, SFX. Aurora was rubbish. Scale speeds of 700 miles an hour. Oh yeah. TCR. Was it actually TCR? Maybe. I genuinely don't recall.
I don't know. All I know is I had Skeletrix and had to spend almost all of my time constantly cleaning the stuff.
Yeah, I mean that'd how it be. There we go. That's a good connection. All right, and that's going to go in there. So now, how the heck did the spring go on? Spring to there, maybe? Yeah. Oh, blimey, that's a long spring. There we go. And that does... No, that's not right at all. That can't be it. Ah! Heckin' springs, man. How they work. No, that's not right at all. No, I've got something
Magnets,
wrong
how
here.
they work.
How did I have that before? That's definitely the front of the trigger. AFX. That might have been it. AFX Aurora. I think that might have been it. I might need to get a picture of that. I probably shouldn't be trying to do two things at once here. Right. Yeah, that is how it goes. That's an awful design, man. No wonder this thing broke. All right, hold on a sec. We need to get some more slack on this wire. Let's bring that up to there. It's amazing how basic old electronics are.
I have no idea where all my stuff is. Was it maybe in the loft?
Yeah, I don't think I have my old stuff anymore. My mate John has got a Skeletrix kit. Not one from years ago, but he bought one. He was just like, I used to think it was rad. I'm buying one, and he bought a kit, and we had some fun. He sets it up now and then, once a year or so, has it in his living room for a couple of weeks, and then his wife is just like, get this thing out of the way, and he has to pack it away again. Ah, there it is. There's two little posts down there that the wire goes in. That's how that works. Okay, hold on. There we go. That now the wire sticks down the bottom. Even still, yeah, that cable, man. Okay, right, there we go. How's that?
Every time someone's coming up with these acronyms, I just keep thinking of like, hey, just say. And all of the other silly adverts like that from like the 90s.
Oh God, right. The spring is in place. Oh God, this thing's got a safety trigger on it. Safety switch. What way round did that go? That must have gone in.
Just in case you accidentally don't realize you're moving a Skeletrix car or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Must have gone in that way around. Oh, I think it was actually a maximum speed thing. I think that goes in like that. Okay, let's see if I can get this heckin' cover on. Oh, this is going to be nightmarish. Noises of discomfort.
Displeasure. Displeasure.
Whew. Okay. Jam the screw in there right now, and then we'll check if it works.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You did it.
Black wire touching the top left. There. The black wire top left touching the copper plate. Blades cut wire. Was it? Oh, heck. Are you sure? That looked fine to me. If I take this out and it's clear, it's going to be your fault, Arnold.
Blaming you.
Yes. Okay. I don't think it goes that far back, but you are right. We can definitely clear that either way. So yeah, we get that guy over to there. We can get it out of the way altogether. Yeah. I don't think it oh, it does lock that far back. Yep. No, all right. You win this time, Arnold.
This time.
You won this toss, Outlander, but you won't win the race, so it makes little difference. Oh, now my bottom wire has gone out of place. Oh God, holding the spring in place on this while taking it apart is horrendous.
It looks like trying to reassemble a Type 2 gearbox.
Yes.
I have just about managed it once. and even then it didn't work as well as it did before I took it apart. At that point, I was just like, I will pay someone to do this instead of trying to do it myself.
By how many tens of volts were you overvolting that particular gun?
I wasn't. I bought a load of really cheap secondhand ones years ago. And it was just a case of I just pulled one of them apart,
Hmm.
and then I took apart the button, the gearbox, and was playing around with just the bits and stuff to see what was going on with all of the stuff. And yeah, and it was just kind of a case of it worked, and then it still worked afterwards, but nowhere near as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, this switch thing is a limiter. When you flip it over, it limits it to half throttle. So it's kid mode, basically.
Makes sense.
Max speed button. Right. The button is in. It's in, and it works. I've got nothing left on the counter. Everything that came out of it has gone back in. The button!
It's hidden up your sleeves.
Right. Put the track back together again. The grand finale of this stream is going to be me pulling the trigger on this and the car just goes whoosh off the side of the screen.
And breaks something.
Crashes into my PC that's to the left of me and breaks the tempered glass. Which then falls onto my 3070 Founders Edition. 8-second delay, yeah. That's fair. Doo-doo-doo. What a wasteful fix, no parts left after reassembly. Yeah, you know how it works.
I can't remember who was saying it, but it was someone saying about every time they had their mechanic work on their car, they were always given a screw or something back afterwards, saying, "I don't know where this came from, but here you go."
Slowly building up enough parts to build a new car.
Out of all of the parts that have been left out of your car.
Yeah. What am I plugged into? Lane 1. Can we sort out those brushes, maybe? It's probably a way of making these brushes nicer, or just replacing it, but whatever. Wah, 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 wah.
Oh dear.
Wah, 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 wah. I don't even know if the car works. Have we actually got power to the track now?
Just inject voltage directly into the brushes.
That's not the problem.
Well, it kind of is, because it proves whether the car works.
True. Oh yeah, there's power to the track now. It's heckin' delicate, man. Oh, I suppose it's power. Oh, it's resistance at the output, that's why. So yeah, the car's probably knackered as well. What do these cars run on? Oh, 12 volts, obviously. All right. Ugh.
I'm just expecting to hear, "Wee!"
Oh, I can't be bothered to get... I was going to say, I could set up the live on-screen voltage for the power supply, but I can't be bothered. Let's see.
You'll just have to read it out.
Yeah. Let's dial in 12 volts on the power supply. 12 volts, 2 amps. That'll do. Lock. Power on. These things are rear-wheel drive, right? Yeah. No. The car is also dead. And I only have one car, so rip me, I guess. Eh. Eh. Nope.
Absolutely all of the sound effects.
These things just pull off, right? Can't remember. I seem to remember the brushes just pulled out because they're replaceable.
I don't know, maybe it's the screw behind it.
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
look
know
at that
quite how in depth I was intending to go with this today, people. So I hope you got nowhere else to be.
This is turning into a interesting set of issues.
Yeah,
It's just going to end up with basically absolutely everything is broken.
probably. Like I'm rapidly thinking that this is not worth my time, but I don't know. There might be someone out there that's just like, oh, they're they're fixable, etc. The hell is that? Ah, okay. What is that? I don't know. Is there a magnet in there or something? Why is there a junction box on the bottom of the car? I've no idea how these work. Like there's this.
That seems like an unnecessary number of connect.
Yeah. I mean, the car might have LEDs in it. It probably does have LEDs in it for the headlights and stuff like that as well. Um, Maybe that's just a junction connector. I don't know. Lap counter sensor. Ah, okay. Yeah. See, I think Arnold actually knows what how these things work. That's the difference here. Let's
So
take the hecking cover off.
is this like a digital car trying to run on an analog track?
I don't think so. However, I don't know. Let's see. Right, well, there's our motor. So yeah, and there's some LEDs in there as well for the headlights and taillights. That's come off as well. There's just actually, where has that come from? Oh, there you go. That's come off of the brush. That might have come out when I was abusing it. Although, actually, that looks proper wrecked. Yeah, get a look at... Hang on a sec. Let me get the big old close-up here, because I think that might be a problem. Too close.
Lower.
Yeah, we've got... So you can see where the green wire goes into that brush there. However, this yellow one has come out. So that's probably the issue, yeah.
Ah. The level of bits that aren't working is impressive.
Yeah, well, that's what breaks on these things. It's just this is all just mechanical fatigue. Right, let's slot that back onto the bottom because that's not actually doing me any favors having that out. Yeah, I think yeah, Arnold G is right. That's obviously a lap counter system, and maybe the lap counter isn't present on this, but maybe you remove that and you put on a different connector block which adds the lap counter to this car, and that's got just a connector block on it, but another one actually has a thing there that has more to it or something. So yeah. Night Fusion, what's up, man? How's it going? It's been crashed. Okay, so I was sure that these brushes were removable, so you could change them out when they got knackered, but I don't see how that comes off. Either way, I'll see if I can crimp that wire back in. See if I can try not to wander off shot. I'm going to reroute this wire so it's got less strain on it as well. Because it's going into a bit of a jungle, which I think might be why it's come off. It's just a routing issue where the cable is just under too much tension. If I reroute that under some of these black ones, we can get more slack. Eh. Eh. There we go. Take that up and over. That's got way more room on it now.
Almost.
Am I still on? No, I've wandered off shot again. This is the problem. I've only got half the width of the screen to play with now.
It's fine. You can turn me off. No one will care.
No one loves Caradog.
Except for possibly.
Oh man, how am I going to crimp that guy back together again? Let's just see if I can get down there with the pliers and just give that guy give him a good squeeze.
You're just going to get in there and give him a good squeeze.
Absolutely.
Are you going to ask him first? Would you like a little squeeze? A little bit on the side.
Go. Solder that one, definitely. Yeah. Yep, alright. Don't know how I'm going to get that in there. Hopefully, if I just drop a little bit of flux and a bit of solder in there, the solder will just find its way to all the metal joints. Speaking of which, of soldering and fluxing, John the electrician was down the other day to fit a water heater, and I soldered some pipe. I soldered some pipe of my own with a blowtorch. So yeah.
Oh, not with a pine saw.
No, the pine saw cannot solder copper pipe. However,
you went there with a pine saw going.
Yep. Blowtorch, flux, and plumber's solder, and I did my own bit of soldering with a thing. So yeah. Just as a random side note, but yes.
Very well.
See if we can get the camera in there so you guys can see what I'm doing. It was quite fun. It's amazing how much the solder flows when you've got a blowtorch on the entire subject. Literally, you just touch the solder and it just goes whoosh into the thing. It's very cool.
It's amazing how much a blowtorch heats things.
Indeed. Right. I'm kind of going to get in there and just melt the wire a little bit, I think. And just be like, yes, I'm melting the sheath, but... shaky hand. Has any solder actually flowed into that? Don't know if any solder actually got in there at all.
Good job. Well done.
Right. Where's my tweezers gone? Here's some different tweezers. There's the other tweezers. Oh yeah, that's soldered on. Yeah, that ain't coming off. That seems to work.
I'm pretty certain you said you weren't going to solder on that.
So look, I haven't damaged it. I haven't damaged it. You saw nothing. There's no evidence of this occurrence whatsoever. The stream is over. Goodbye. I'm deleting the VOD immediately. Is this car in the race? Oh, who knows? However, let's... Hang on a sec. Yeah! And yes, it is also missing a tyre. I've just realised what people are talking about with that now.
Congrats. Yes.
Oh. It worked and then it stopped working. What's died? Oh. Shit. Screw on the track. Screw on the track. A screw fell into the track. That'll do it.
Good lord.
There we go.
I do kind of want one of those giant LTT desk pad majobbies.
Yes, me too. I really like that one. It's the same size as the one I've got. I just want that for home. Yeah. I mean, it works. I can't see this going around a track when it's built up. I think this car, like lacking wheels and stuff, it's too knackered. Like I fixed it, but I don't think it's going to work. The hairy axles on the wheels. Oh man. Let's de-hair the wheels. Oh yeah, no. Am I getting involved in that? No, I'm out. I'm going to put this back together again, and that'll do, I think. I have made it work in theory.
All you need to do now is get the lithium grease out.
The lithium grease?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? As opposed to silicon grease?
Yeah.
I didn't know lithium grease was a thing. What do you use lithium grease for?
Stuff and things. I don't know why you'd use it over other stuff or in comparison to other stuff. I just know it is specifically a thing that is used on certain stuff.
Fair enough.
And I know it's specifically recommended for one of the door locks we've got.
Silicon grease for plastics.
Also, yes. Also, I think it's a case of situations where you can't use silicon because silicon perishes some plastics and stuff.
Yeah. Are you? Oh.
Yeah, that was it. That was what I was watching. I was watching a video about someone doing keyboard stuff, and they were using lithium grease.
It's got an absolutely awful connection to the track. These are ruined, and also I think the gearbox just failed.
I think you just shredded it.
Yeah. I think it just died.
Congratulations. So you're going to hand it back and just be like, it functions in theory. Each element of this is capable of functioning.
I mean, it's worth.
However,
I feel like
I
feel like I should point out that this was not a restoration job. They just said, we found this in the loft. Do you think you can make it work? You know. Oh, there we go. Look, the thing's just popped out. It's fine. It's fine. Now I'll put it back on there. It works for a second, then it's got a really awful connection at the track because of those pads. Hecking screws keep falling into the track as well, which is not helpful. So yeah, I'm putting this back together. I'm done with this. I'm done. This is dumb, stupid. Plastic gear is broken. Yeah, there's a lot broken here. I'm putting this back together. We're done. I have made it work in theory. However, like, yeah, this car ain't gonna race properly. It's got no grip on the track. It's missing a wheel. It needs a new one of those. However, there we go. Aha! Okay, there we go. That's it. It's moving. No! Haha!
Huh! As it lurches.
Okay, that's good enough. It works. Quick fit done. Op success, boys. We did it.
We're going home.
Yes, indeed. Am I going home or am I going to record? What are you laughing at? The Dave remark?
No, a screenshot.
Oh, okay. Oh no. What screen is it in the Discord?
Absolutely. Look in general.
Oh, okay. Right. Hold on a sec. Let me reset everything. Show's over. Everyone, go home.
You don't have to go home. You just can't stay here.
Yeah. $50 in the kitty? No, I'm not going to charge for this. This was this was just a bit of fun, I think. Like, if it works for them, good for them. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Adamant IT General, okay. What? Postal! Postal! I'm gonna gut your heart out with a spoon.
Yeah, but keep going. Keep going.
I love you really, man.
Scroll back up.
Scroll back up. Okay, we've got you going. We've got you looking like what's the the guy from Inception when they're in the cafe scene. He's going,
Oh,
Leonardo
okay.
DiCaprio.
I thought you were saying, what's that one guy? You know, the
Not
guy
bad.
who's the president.
The guy who did that thing that one time. What else am I looking at? Or is it just the
No,
face?
just that. Just
Yeah,
those two.
fair enough. And apparently you look like Likero, the Swedish CSGO pro player. I can kind of see that, actually.
Imagine if I was actually capable of playing CSGO.
Yeah.
Clearly, I need a new monitor for that. That's
Yeah.
where my feeling is. I'm not playing at 360 plus hertz.
Oh, God. I played a bit of Counter-Strike Source back in the day, but, like, yeah, man, I wouldn't even bother starting that up these days. Bit of Dust 2 at the doors, mate, with your deagle. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm not helping myself with regards to these scandalous chav visual edits.
Back when keyboard look was a thing.
Keyboard look. Oh, God.
What are mice?
Okay, right. No, but on a serious note, I think it's time to end the show, everyone, because yeah, I think we peaked about 40 minutes ago, and yeah. However, for anyone who enjoyed watching me kind of sort of fix the Scalex Tricks kit, Scalex trick, the Scalex trick kit. It's a hard word to say, man.
Yes. Yes, it was a journey.
It was something. I'm going to go and put this back on the shelf. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. We're going to get out of here. We will be back same time next week with the same level of dubious tech content. Slot car kit. There we go. Well, let's go with that. Mike White's got the right idea. So yes.
Peter Piper picked a piece of pickled pepper.
Scandinavian slot cars. Scandinavian trick.
I
Anyway.
mean, it's the joke about why the Norwegian ships have barcodes on their bows.
I don't know.
So when they return to port, they can Scandinavian.
That's terrible, man. That's terrible.
It's fine. I've got more. What do you call a magical dog?
All right, I'm gonna say you get this one, and at the punchline, I'm gonna hit stop streaming. Go. All right. Goodbye, everyone. What do you call a magical dog?
A labracadabrador.
End stream.